Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruka. I'm a machinery and equipment valuation consultant with Taqiim. And today we just want to look at sustainable solar infrastructure valuations and see for the purpose for our housekeeping purposes. We have got two languages that we are broadcasting, and if you want to listen this webinar in Arabic, you should go on the icon written interpretation and select Arabic if you want to hear in Arabic. If you want to hear it in English, please select English. So those are two languages that we have. So you select whatever you want. And the questions, you can put them on the Q&A. If you have any questions, you can put them on the Q&A. Then we'll respond to them as we at any given time when we have time to go through those questions. So it's very, very important that you take note of that as we are proceeding. So I once welcome you to this webinar, and the first place I will just want to get your views. This is just a poll. So what we are going to do here is just respond to this poll. I'll give you 2 minutes just to respond. We are not going to take your name, and it's not a test, but we just want your opinion. What is the most critical factor when identify specialized machinery equipment for valuation? We just want to get your opinion. Your opinion is very, very important and vital as well for this purpose of this webinar. So I encourage you all to respond to the, so select whichever you want. One response. Can we respond to the Are we able to respond to this? Yes, I can see some people are responding. This is we are not taking your name. This is not a test. It's just an opinion. We will not see your name. The system does not see your name. The system does not see your name. We just want your opinion. It's about opinion checking only. So please respond. Thank you for those who are responding. Thank you for those who are responding. Shall we respond? Thank you. I can see 5 people. We are a lot of people here. I encourage you to respond. We just want to see your opinions only. That's what we want to do. So here we have got what is the most critical factor when identify specialized machinery and equipment for valuation. I can see most people, 71% of the responses that I got, 75%, it's now 66%, they are saying manufacture and model details, knowing the exact model, make and model. That is the most important. Others, they say the third one, they opted for the third one, that physical condition and age, assessing the wear, maintenance, and the remaining life is the most critical factor. Thank you very much for responding to this. So we are moving on to the next slide now. In this webinar, we are going to look at solar installation or a solar infrastructure. It's one and the same thing. We'll be also looking at the key components of solar power systems, and we'll also look at the type of solar PV systems. PV is the photovoltaic systems, and you also looking at how we can deal with how do we deal with power purchase agreements, and then also look at solar energy statistics, and then move on to the valuation process. This is how we are going to do today. And as you know, the solar installations and infrastructure, why is it important to identify? As a valuer, when you are doing valuations, you put on some jackets. What I would like to say, jackets or roles that you put when you are doing evaluation of any type of infrastructure or any type of plant, equipment, and infrastructure. What you need to do, sometimes you are an investigator. You are trying to understand the machine. So it's very, very important to identify the machine and to try to understand the components. So that is what you'll be doing, investigate, know more about the machine, the components, the attachments, the functions, the conditions, and you also need to do inspection. Inspection is very, very important as well. You need to inspect the infrastructure or the equipment that you are dealing with, and also to collect as much information about the assets, the descriptions of that asset, the specifications and the conditions. Those are most important things that you need to do. So a valuer has got several roles that he does as a consultant or as a specialist. You have to do investigation, inspection, and collection of data. Those are things that you need to do always when you are doing that. You need to identify, because when we are talking of solar infrastructure, we it is composed of a lot of components. So you need to identify one component after another. It's very important, because if you don't get the makeup or the setup of that solar infrastructure, it will be very, very difficult for you to get the costs and to get comparables when you are now doing your valuation analysis. So the most important thing, the most critical thing is to know the type and to know the components, because not every solar infrastructure is the same. Every solar installation, they are made up differently according to the terrain, sometimes the terrain of the place or the location or the structure they are attached to. So you have to understand that it's very, very important and it's very, very critical. And also to identify the characteristics of the solar systems, which may influence its value. There are a number of factors that affect the value of the solar installation that you might be dealing with at that time as well. And we've got three types of solar infrastructure. We've got solar farms. We'll look at them in detail. We have got rooftop solar panel systems, and we also have solar water heating systems. So these are the main pre-solar infrastructure that you get in touch when you are doing valuation of solar installations. And then now we also want to look now at the solar farms. Solar farms, they come in three types. Solar farms. They come in three types. Oops. They come in two types, sorry. There is a utility solar farm, and then we have got a community solar farms as well. These are large and social solar facilities that provide electricity to national grid. When we are talking of the utility solar infrastructure or solar farms, they are there to provide electricity to national electric or electricity grid for revenue. So these are more of commercial. They harness solar energy and then take the electricity into the grid of the national grid that is there. And also you find we have got community infrastructure, solar farms as well. So you find we have got utility solar farms. These are some of the utility solar farms that you find in here in Saudi Arabia. As you can see, more developments are happening. It has started in 2020, but up to now we still have more which is coming. And some of these, and in terms of capacity as well, they are moving from 91 megawatts, and now we have what 2.6 megawatts facility. So these are some of the that are dotted around Saudi Arabia. And while on the other hand, we talk of community solar farms. The community solar farms, they are there to provide energy to the community where they are installed, like to households and to businesses. But in some cases, you find they've got extra energy that they can put on the national grid for extra income. So you find these communities, they rely totally on solar energy. They've got huge infrastructure that they've put together, and they get electricity, but the extra one they sell it to, unlike the utility is there just to provide energy to the national grid. So that's the difference. And in Saudi Arabia, we've got good examples of sustainable community solar farms that are being developed under the NEOM and Red Sea Global projects. And many more are coming out all over the country, which are really providing energy to the community, and then the extra is loaded to the national grid. And then we have got this one. This one seems to be very common, the rooftop type, where you see solar panels, they are installed on the roofs of houses, and they are installed there depending on the type of roof as well. There you find them on the residential property for household use only, and they are and even nowadays you find them on on commercial properties as well. So as to provide electricity, because some places they don't have enough electricity. So sometimes they have blackouts. So commercial properties as well, they are using as well this kind of system. And the last one is the solar water heating systems. These are installed mainly on residential property. They are water heating devices. They use solar thermal energy to heat the water, and then they are mostly installed on rooftops of residential properties. On residential properties. And then moving on to another stage that we want to look is to look at the key components of solar power systems. Like what I said, you are an investigator, you collect information, you identify every system, solar system, like what I said, is different. Either you are working with a utility solar farm, or you are working with a community solar farm, or you are working within some rooftop type of solar power system, or you are working with the other solar systems that are coming on the market. So the components which make up the solar power system, these are the solar panels. And these sometimes they are called solar modules and are made different sizes and forms as well. And it is worth noting during this your investigation, when you are doing investigation and inspection of solar panels for valuation purposes, for you to know that there are two types of solar panels, but the most common one is the monofacial. It has got the panels, they are on one side. You find them, they are on one side. And then we also have the bifacial solar modules, which have got two sides. They've got the panels, two sides. So you can tilt them and use one side to face the sun, and it can turn to another side and face the sun as well. So these ones, they are mostly used when uh, when it becomes easy for you to clean one side once the other side is working as well. It's another advantage. And you find in one project that we have in Jeddah solar power plant here in Saudi Arabia, it's got a bifacial solar modules of that type that they have as well. And then, so these are the types of solar panels. They depend on the make of the cells, how they are made. There's monocrystalline, and then there's another polycrystalline, and then the thin film, and then the bifacial or the bifacial, both sides, right? And then we've got inverters. These are some of the components that you'll find when you are doing valuation for solar power system. The purpose of them is to convert direct currents, DC to AC for electricity. You find our grid, electrical grid, it uses AC, the alternating currents. So solar inverters as well are manufactured in different types and sizes as well. So as a valuer, you need to identify the type of solar inverters that you are dealing with as well. Because some of these, you shall see that some of these types of solar inverters or solar panels, they are a bit different. Some you can know the types based on the aspects, like the capacities as well. You can know them by the power levels, and you can know them by the application whenever you are using them as well. So you find most of the types of panels that we have in our homes and in commercial application, you find we've got three types of application field type of solar inverters. We've got those ones which you find on residential properties. Those solar inverters, they are offering user-friendly features. They are easy to install because they are small and compact in design as well. And they normally range in terms of capacity from 1 kilowatt to 10 kilowatts, and may also include, because of more advanced technology, some of them they are connected to, they've got Wi-Fi connectivity and mobile application integration. You can operate it from wherever you are. You can see how much energy is being used, or you can also check on the functionality of the inverter whilst you are far away, because of the mobile apps that are coming into the market. And then commercial, you find commercial, they are very large in terms of capacities. They've got higher capacities, and at the same time, they come with advanced monitoring systems that they are connected to. And they are really robust in construction, and they use, you find them on commercial buildings, and you find them on office buildings and other places to provide stable AC power. And then we have got utility scale solar. Those are the ones you find solar panel in solar farms. where they are used to help build up a massive solar power plant or on utility scale installations, and then they can handle capacities in megawatt type because they are generating a lot of currents and power that is being put on the national grid. So they are really high efficient, and as well as extensive monitoring and control capacities required on those kind of inverters as well. And then we've got solar panel mounting systems, because the solar system, the panels, or the solar module, they need to be stationed somewhere, they need to be fixed somewhere. So there are different types of racks that you see in the on the market that you see on the market in terms of mounting structures. Some on rooftops, they've got steel racks, which sort of like help to mount these solar panels, and there are some which are also installed on the ground, especially on the solar farms. And then we have got the SCADA system. Because of technologies these days, this SCADA means it's a supervisor control and data acquisition. It's a type of industrial control system that uses software and hardware to monitor and control all processes, the operations of the solar power plant. You can watch them from a control room. You see, if you go to solar farms, you see they've got a control room. So inside that control room, that's where there are some panels. They have got some interface systems where they'll be monitoring and seeing what is happening on the panels and with the inverters, and as it is loading into the grid. So that is very, very, very important. And this system works on large scale solar infrastructure, which requires persistent and constant attention. So these are very, very, you find SCADAs are being used all over in oil and gas industry, in water management, manufacturing. They are being used, to monitor and control the systems and control the function of that plant. And then we've got other installation components, things like cabling, connections, connector boxes, circuit switches, circuit breakers, and other things that are used to connect the panels to inverters uh, to 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 connect into homes or to connect into the grid. That those items that make up those small things, they are also included when you are doing valuation. You have to understand the connections involved, the cabling, the type of cabling that is involved in that as well. So we've got also an ancillary equipment such as panel cleaning equipment. These are equipment that are used, you find if you are dealing with solar farms, they've got a lot of dust which gather on the panels. So it affects the function of of those panels. They won't be able to absorb a lot of solar energy. So what is required is to always make sure that they are clean. So you find constantly they will be cleaning them to make sure that they are also, and also there are instances of birds. So there's need to have a bird deterrent system, so to make sure that it blocks things like birds from flying over or from settling there and contaminate the solar panels as well. Sometimes other people or factories, farms, they sometimes put barriers like fencing or using of also of laser system to, and some of these are visual, and some of these are they make noise, some sound, so that they prevent any deterrence from coming to these systems as well, to ensure a good functionality of that system. So here, as you have seen, we've looked at a number of components, these are the main components that make up any solar power system, So you as a valuer, it is very, very important that you know the system, you know the design, get the layout plans, look at what is where and what is happening on the ground, the number of solar panels, the connections, the cabling, the inverters, how many inverters, sizes, and everything. It's very, very to know the setup and all the quantities, and also to investigate. You can't do evaluation without enough information. You need to get enough information, the models, the makes, and the capacities of each and every item, so that you really understand them before you carry out the valuation. And then we've got some types of solar power systems that you find that are all over. We've got a grid type, right? A grid tied PV system. So this is the system that you find. It just takes sun power from the sun, and it transmits it straight into the grid, right? It doesn't keep the energy. No, the moment the sun hits the solar panels and convert it into electricity or generate electricity, it takes it direct into the property, or direct into the grid. So that's the one which is called grid tied PV system. And then we've got the PV direct system. This PV direct system, it doesn't need, these are simple that we normally see around, where it doesn't need a battery or an inverter or a charge controls. It's a matter of supplying this. You find most of them, like we are having, recently I saw some power banks with a solar panel, so that you can charge the solar panel, the power bank, using solar energy. So those are the examples of PV direct systems. They don't need a battery or anything. It's a matter of getting it and getting it used as well. There are certain components where you find they are just connected direct to the panels. And then we've got off-grid PV systems, right? We've got off-grid PV systems, and these ones, you find them especially in remote areas, like the second picture that you see here. And it has got a panel, and then the battery. This is a white battery, where it keeps the energy, and it stores energy for use when there is no sun, right? So to generate more power. And then we've got another type of grid type PV system with a battery backup as well. It's another one that you find. This is just a standard solar setup with an energy storage system to provide continuous power during outage, and to optimize energy uses. So it's another one that you find, it takes and keeps the energy, and the extra can be used elsewhere as well. And then we have got a hybrid type of system, solar system, that combines the grid tied and the off-grid solar power by integrating the solar, battery storage, and the public utility. So it generates electricity, stores it in the battery. The extra is transmitted to the public utility grid. So these are very, very important. You find you are assured of energy security during things like blackouts and and it also lowers your electricity bill as well. So these are very, very important. And we also have some other modifications that we have seen, or some other type of solar power systems that we have seen and recently witnessed. Those ones are the car park PV systems. Instead of putting roofing material, they are using solar panels as roofing material. So they are doing dual job. One, to provide shade and at the same time generating electricity as well. And then we have got solar PV pump systems. You find they've got like the picture on the bottom. It takes electricity, generates electricity through the panels, and it provides power to the electric pump so that water, so it doesn't need any grid access. It's just from the panel straight to the pump. The power, that's how it works. And then we've got the solar LED lighting systems. You find most countries, they are moving on from the grid type um, lighting system. So they are using this one. It stores electricity and it's not connected to anything. It generates electricity, put it into a rechargeable battery, and in the evening it switches on and provide light. So these are some of the solar PV systems that you find in the markets or in some of the areas where you'll be doing valuations. And we have got a lot of examples that you'll find. I have been to a place which is called Sustainable City in Dubai. They've got such kind of car park PV systems where they are providing enough power just through that system, enough power to provide the whole community. And they also have extra that they can sell to the power utility as well. So that is very, very important. That's another thing that you need to know. So as a valuer, know the systems that we are dealing with. The first, the type, move on to the PV systems that we are dealing with. It's very, very important so that when you understand it, it becomes easy for you to look at the factors which can affect the value of that kind of system. Each system has different factors that affect that system. So you need to understand, you need to analyze it so that you provide a proper valuation. Then we are moving on to dealing with the power purchasing agreements, PPA. This is the type of contract where you find a third party developer owns and maintain a solar energy system, and sometimes on a customer's property. But what they want to do is they want to sell the electricity generated to the customer at a fixed or a predetermined rate for a certain period of time. So you find such kind of system. This is one of the example that you can see that we have here in Saudi Arabia. It's one of the systems that is there. So what it does is this company, this developer, he just put the infrastructure, generates electricity, and sells it to the customer or the power utility as their customer as well. So you find they have a contract with the power utility, the public utility um, company, so that they provide electricity for a long time, for a long period of time. So you find These kind of contracts, they last from 10 to 25 years, depending on the system that they have. And it allows customers to use energy and benefit from lower electricity costs. And also, they are really assured of stability in terms of, and you find if it is a third party, a developer who is just providing a community with the power, it means they don't have any responsibility of trying to raise the capital to put such kind of infrastructure. What they are doing is they are just consumers as well. So this is very, very important. You as a valuer now, what you need to do when you are dealing with such kind of PPAs, you need to review the PV system. When we are saying the PV system, we are saying look at the panels, look at the inverters, look at the control systems that are being used as well, and then look at the connections that are done. Are there any batteries, energy storage facilities as well? You need to understand. You also need to look at the energy production estimation reports. It's very important. You find every developer of this kind of system, they've done an engineering study, right, of their system, of their project. So they will provide you with documentation on the engineering study that they do. It's not a matter of just grabbing a piece of land and start putting solar panels without doing a study. You need to do feasibility study. You need to do engineering study and see how you can set up the system. So it's very, very important. So you find they come up with the estimations, reports, how they are going to produce. And for your information, a good report, a good accurate report is required by banks. It's a bankable thing. They can get loans to finance this kind of thing. How do you finance? You need to produce some estimations. You need to produce an engineering study and provide it to the bank, and the bank can chip in. And sometimes, even if you want, a developer can get other equities partners to come and join, so that they can finance this kind of thing. So it's very, very important to start this kind of studies that are done towards the establishment of such kind of facilities. And also you need to know some factors like measurement standards, how they are doing, data validation, and the long-term climate trends, right? So it's very critical to look at the climate trends, how things are moving in terms of the energy, right? How is the energy moving? And it's sort of like the climate. Is it a sunny period? How long and for how long? And what are the climatic changes that are happening? Are they not going to affect the project over 25 years? Most of them, they are a 25-year period type of this infrastructure. You also need to evaluate the quality of PV systems as well, their input, and come up with input assumptions, including the site data as well, on the location. Is it fairly good in terms of dust, in terms of other inherent deterrents that might happen on that kind of infrastructure? And you also need to check on the irradiation. Yes, it's very important. Irradiation, what is irradiation? This is, I would call it a total amount of solar energy received per unit area, or maybe over a period of time, right? It's like, for example, during the day or during the hour. It is normally measured in terms of kilowatts, kilowatt hour per square meter, kilowatt hour per square meter. So what is very, very important is to know as well the amount of energy which is absorbed, which is produced, is at that time, where every hour. So there is need. That's why we talked of SCADA. SCADA is there to monitor those kind of things. But in your study, you have to make sure that you come up with the kind of studies to make sure that the irradiation is properly known. how many kilowatt hour per square meter can the energy which can be generated in such kind of area or in such kind of square meter. Right. Guaranteed income for the solar project as well. Any developer who is putting up a solar farm, they want to know where they are taking the electricity to. Is there any guarantee from the power utility company that they are going to buy electricity from them? And normally, this power utility, they need consistent supply of electricity. So normally it's for 25 years because the normal useful life of most solar power systems is it's 25 years. So the developer, in this case, in the PPA, he owns, operate, and maintain the solar system. And what the PPA buyer does is to receive stable, low-cost electricity, and sometimes other jurisdictions, the developer gets tax credits on their and income at the same time, which will enable them to transfer that to a leasing company. So most of these establishments, you find they are bank or financed by other financial institutions. And the investor must ensure that the lease term is less than the term of the PPA, right? So in other words, you have to make sure that before the PPA expires, your lease must expire before the contract, right? So that you'll be able to cover up yourself. Because if you take a long lease and then the PPA expires before the lease, then you are bound to have some period of void where you are just creating electricity which is not going anywhere. So to get a good return, the lease must be less than the term of the PPA. And the PPA income streams stays with the project and it's transferable. So in terms of financing, that's what they can do. Like in Saudi Arabia, we have got some PPAs that are really working well, and this is part of the kingdom's national renewable energy program, where the Saudi power procurement company, there's the Saudi power procurement company, SPPC, which signs a long-term contracts with the developers to buy electricity from new solar projects like those ones that I have showed you in the beginning of this project, in the beginning of this session. You find they rely on this SPP company so that they have contracts and they are assured of a buyer of that. And you find we've got new ones which have just come on, one which was signed in July 2025 of 15,000 megawatts. It's a good package. And there's another one which has just come, which is called Samta, sometime solar plant, and this one was signed in October 2025. So there are a lot which these PPAs facilitate large scale developments, and more are coming, and they are really stable. They ensure stable income to the developer over the period of the duration of that. Normally for 25 years, they are assured of income as well. And another thing that you need to do as a valuer when you are doing valuation of solar power plants, what you need to do is to have an understanding on the trends, on the statistics of where things are going. I've got an example. There's an International Renewable Energy Agency, right, which is it's based in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. You find this is one one of the agents internationally which has brought all developers, all stakeholders who are interested in the renewable energy. So every year they do some conferences and they do a lot of research studies in order to ensure that this renewable energy is continuous and it's sustainable as it should be. So you find there is data that they provide. I got data from that about solar energy, and you find these are the countries in the Middle East, and you can see there's a development in the Middle East. In 2014, they were supplying 883 megawatts. Now it has moved to 2023 to 18,000, more than 18 to 19,000 megawatts of solar energy that is being provided, that is being generated in Middle East only. So as you can see, by now in 2025, we don't have statistics for 2020 and 2025, but by now I think it has already doubled. It's now around 25, there about 35,000 megawatts. I believe so. So if you look at Saudi Arabia, you can see the upward movement. It started with 24 megawatts in 2014, but right now we are at 2.5. But in 2025, right now, you can see we have more than doubled this with the new projects that are coming in. Right now, in this case, the NEOM and Red Sea projects were not added in these statistics. So it means they have shifted in terms of renewable energy as well. And then we've got statistics that I have here with me as well. That is very, very important for us to really understand. And as you can see, we have got different renewable energies sources that we have. We've got the bioenergy, geothermal, hydropower, solar, PV, and we've got the concentrated solar power. This is the new technology which is coming in as well, where it uses mirrors to concentrate sunlight into high temperature heat sources to generate electricity for industrial processes as well. So this is another source of solar energy as well. And then we've got onshore and offshore wind as well. But if you look at the solar, you can see the amount in terms of US dollars per kilowatt has changed significantly from 5,300 per kilowatt to install, right? When you are installing. In other words, it is, the good part about valuation of solar power plants, there's a lot of data that is being provided in terms of installation costs. They are available from these agencies that I'm talking about, and they will be very, very helpful to get hold of them. Go on internet, search this, and then download a lot of information about solar energy, about renewable energy that you can value. So as you can see, the cost has moved down from 5.3 to 758 by 2023. This is a very significant fall of the cost, and it has gone down by 86% in just 13 years. So this is awesome, and it shows people are the communities and the consumers, the stakeholders are appreciating the advantage of solar energy. And then if you look at the capacity factor, this is what we say the efficiency of the system, of the energy system. It has also shifted because of changes in technology. and improvements that are happening in terms of technology. And so the capacity factor, this one, it indicates how available an energy source is throughout the year. So in other words, they do some studies. So in the past, it used to be about like 14% efficiency. Now it has moved to 16% efficiency. So that is the efficiency rate of the solar energy system. And then we have got levelized cost of levelized cost of electricity, levelized cost of electricity. This when we are talking of levelized cost of electricity, we are talking about the average cost of generating 1 unit of electricity over the lifetime of a power plant. So the cost of generating has changed significantly. You see now it's almost like 4 cents, right, in 2023. Maybe by now it's around 2 cents, dollars, 2 cents in terms of US currency, right? Now it's 4 cents in terms of currency, US cents, US 4 cents, and per kilowatt hour of energy. So there's a significant, about 90% drop of that cost. So as you can see, it means this is very reliable. It means we have reduced the cost of as well, because it looks at the cost of capital costs of putting up a power plant, fueling it up as well, or operations and maintenance. These are some of the factors that are considered in coming up with the cost of electricity. And we also have energy. We are still looking at the energy. We are still looking at the energy statistics, solar energy statistics. This table that is there, this graph, it looks at the share of renewable energy capacity added by technology. As technology is improving, so we have more like more additions of capacity, like what I've shown you in the statistics, that we are moving upwards in terms of the amount of solar energy that is coming into, that is being generated. So you find the solar power has got and the offshore wind. These are the highest in terms of bringing in additions of capacity, of new capacity being developed. And the solar PV was the technology with the largest share of deployment. If you look at the global, right at the end, at the right side, there's 73% of energy addition that has been brought into the world. So except for Africa, you see, Africa is got 31%. But if you look at Middle East, it is 84% of share of new capacity, share of new capacity. The statistics that they bring together globally. So 84%, you can see there is a lot of a movement that is happening, developments that are happening as well in such kind of situations. And then we also move on to look at the costs as well, the average cost of installation. If you look at the top table, top graph here, you find in 2010, you needed 5,310 dollars per kilowatt to put up a structure, right? Depending on the capacity. If it is a 5 megawatt, we have to calculate by this cost per unit cost, you see, and you find it has changed significantly. As you see, modules, solar panels, they have been developed because of new technologies. and they've moved down by more than 2,000. You see, more than 2,000 in terms of the cost per kilowatts. And then now in 2023, for you to put up a solar power plant, you just need US dollars 758 per kilowatts. So that is the unit cost of installation. That is, so you can see that a lot of things have changed. Inverters have improved, installation has been improved, and raking system has been improved as well. So once people are consuming, there are some people who are busy trying to improve how they can improve this type solar system, which is more than 10 years or 15 years. You see it is different. It is different from the current one that are being developed. And then if you look at the regionally as well, and I have Saudi statistics here. You see, if you look at Saudi statistics, you see one interesting thing that I liked. That interesting thing that I liked about the Saudi situation. You find it is all the time it was dropping, the cost of installation was dropping until recently, where it had just increased by 34%. This could be due to a lot of demands in terms of infrastructure that is being put. So there's a tendency of costs going up as well. But otherwise, generally, if you compare with the decline that was happening in the past, it means the it's almost equivalent, or it's almost stable and stable as well. So this is very, very important on the statistics. As a valuer, don't just look for the price only, but you need to look at the trends, at the market, get an overview of the global market, regional market, and then go to your local, right, to your local area and see what is happening within your locality in terms of the cost of installation. Then it will help you in your valuation. You'll be able to identify things like the costs, things like functional obsolescence and or economic obsolescence as well. Those factors, you can easily get them as well. I have talked quite a lot. I think I need to give you another poll just to get your ideas on this. So feel free to just answer this. Feel free. We are not going to take details of your name. What you have answered, it's not going to show. I don't see your name. I don't see anything. All I see are responses. So everyone, feel free to do this. I encourage you, just give your opinion. No one is going to see what you have done. We are all going to see the results. So take your time. Take your time to, I'll just give you 2 minutes to do this. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes, 2 minutes to have a look at that. Can you respond to the poll? Right now, I haven't seen any. Let's move, let's move, let's move. Let us respond to the poll. I'm waiting for your responses. No one is responding to my poll. I will not move until you do that. Can you respond to the poll? Can you respond to the poll? Do it direct on the system. You can scan, use your phone, scan, and then respond. You can scan, you can scan as well. It is very helpful. Okay, I can see some responses now. Right, which source do you consider most reliable for valuation data inputs? Right, which source do you consider most reliable for valuation data inputs? We've got manufacturers, documentation, technical manuals, and original specifications. Some they said market comparables, prices of similar assets in the market, and or some, let's see, number number 4, internal records, company's asset register and maintenance logs. Others are saying expect appraisal opinion from certified valuation professionals. Okay, that's a good one. Valuation professionals. Sorry, valuation professionals. So majority are saying market comparables, prices of similar assets in the market. That is the most source of reliable source for data inputs. Those are the valuation data inputs that people rely mostly on. That's a good one. Thank you very much for responding. Thank you very much for responding. Right. Now we are moving on. We are going to look at the valuation processes now. This is the main section, or this main segment that we are going to deal with now. And we'll be looking at the scope of work. Scope of work is very important. Understand your assignment. That is what we are saying. When we are talking of scope of work, understand your assignments. Me, as a evaluation reviewer, I've seen quite a lot of evaluation reports. Some of them, you can see that this is the assignment, the evaluation problem is not clearly defined here. So, as a evaluator, you need to know the purpose, understand the purpose. Why they want this purpose? Why do they want this report, evaluation done? It's very, very important. It's very, very critical. And you need to know the basis, because the purpose of valuation and basis, they go together. The basis of value is determined by the purpose, right? And then the details of the client, you need to know the details, you need to gather the details, and the intended user, who are the users of this report. And the report is not open to the public. No valuation report is open to the public. Otherwise, you'll be sued by anyone and asked by anyone to explain. But there is a third party clause, publication clause, a clause that we normally put. In other words, these intended payer users, are they banks? Are they auditors? Are they sales or other market participants that are intended user? You need to specify that. So in other words, when we are doing that, we are complying with IVS 101 scope of work, which lists a minimum requirements for the valuer's scope of work. So it's very, very important that you provide minimum requirements which are spelled out in the IVS 101. So it's very, very important. You need to read that, you need to know that as well. So it's very, very critical. After you have done that, you have to go to investigations and inspection, collection of data, You need to collect data, site plans, plant layout drawings, lists of equipment, all the all the legislations to do with the operations of solar power plants in your jurisdiction. So those are important as well. If your organization, how they've your client of yours, how they have established that solar power plant. Did they use the EPC contracts? If they have copies of the EPC, the engineering, procurement, and construction contracts, you have to gather them as well so that you get to know more details about that solar power plant and the financial outlay, the capex schedules as well, invoices, quotations. They will help you in your valuation as well. You need also to talk to owner as well and try to understand the financials as well, and also the contractors, get in touch with contractors and understand, especially when you're talking to contractors, they will tell you the costs of installation, and they are very, very helpful, the contractors as well. And then solar consultants, there are a lot who are involved in this. They really know the trend and where things are moving. And project management companies as well, which are focusing on these solar projects. So you need to contact these people. These are some of the sources that you can have as well. And then you need to do interviews. Interviews, they are very critical. It can be online, it can be physical meetings with the finance team of your clients. Get to know their financial depreciation policies or financials they provide. The engineering team and maintenance team, they tell you issues to do with the conditions and the maintenance plan, program, everything. They'll give you maintenance logbooks of each aspect of the solar system. And then contractors as well, they help you with some information, project managers, energy regulatory authority as well in your jurisdiction. They help you, what are the requirements? Because remember, those are some of where you can derive your economic obsolescence factors as well from, are they working within the requirements of the regulations? So that is very, very important. And owners as well, and consumers, and to see, are they receiving regular electricity and all other issues to do with that as well. And then we have got through your investigation, when you are doing inspection, when you are going to do inspection, it's very important to plan for the inspection and to know who to talk to and what you need before you get to the site. And other areas, you need security clearance, you need as well to have induction, safety induction with the health and safety personnel as well, so that you can do your inspection safely. So it's very, very important. This can cause some delays if you don't arrange security precautions and safety precautions as well. They can delay your inspection. So it's very, very important to do that and make sure you are following the requirements, safety requirements as well. And you properly put the safety gear which is appropriate to the site that you are visiting. And you also, when you are and decide how you are carrying out the physical inspection. When you are carrying out physical inspection, you need to know, are you going section by section? Are you following the floor, planned floor? In other words, you are starting from the solar panels until you get to the last stage. So this is what you can do. You can decide depending on the kind of the infrastructure that you are dealing with. So it's very good make sure that you document everything, whatever you are doing, all the meetings, interviews that you've done, all the contacts. They are very, very important to not take note of that, because they will help you in your analysis as well. If in your analysis, comparables that you are doing, the extrapolation of data that you are doing, you need to document it so that you can produce a credible and reliable valuation. So not all factors that may affect, it's very important to note all the factors that may affect that kind of plant that we are dealing with. And these days, we are talking of ESG factors. Try and identify them and look at the impact that they are putting on that, right? So, in other words, some situations you see that ESG factors, they are very favorable to this kind of solar power plant as well. So it's very important, it's very critical to know that. And then the valuation methodologies, we use the same approaches: cost, markets, and income. And the most important thing is, depending on your purpose, which approach are you going to use? The basis of value will help you, and other information, how much information you have gathered, will also help you. Maybe you can apply three of them in the project. It's possible, or two, right? It's possible to do that. You can use cost and income. It's okay. I think most of the time when you are dealing with the solar power plants, it's cost and income that you can use. You can also use markets depending on the type, depending on the type. But in most cases, you find you can use two or three, all of them is possible. So what is important is to understand the purpose. The purpose will help you to identify which approach that you can use. And then we have got a cost approach, like what you said, mostly used in specialized plants, equipment, and infrastructure, which rarely have a ready market or a market comparables. Like these facilities, these solar power plants, these solar farms, it's very difficult to see somewhere where it is being sold. You see, somewhere it is being sold. Even the solar panels, it's very difficult to sell solar panels on a second-hand market, because no one is sure whether it is working or it is not working. Once it has been put on use or detached from where it was first installed, it loses value. Maybe it goes as much as to be a scrap, you see. So that's so you find cost approach is more appropriate when you are dealing with this kind of plants, because they are special plants and infrastructure, PEI, right? Due to their large scale and ownership structure as well, like what you say, it's developer, PPA is involved in that as well. So you find, because of the capital outlay, it requires huge capital investments. So most of them, they are financed, constructed, and managed by public-private partnership. So most of them, they are in this kind of arrangement of PP, of triple P. With cost approach, as usual, you need to start with estimating the replacement costs. You can use price catalogs, direct quotations from alternative system of the equivalent unit from suppliers and manufacturer. They can help you to provide information on the components, prices of components that build up that solar system. And then you can also get direct method involving inputs from contractors, suppliers, and agents, especially if you happen to be in touch with the contractor who puts up that structure, that infrastructure. You can recalculate them for you based on the current cost. So it will be very helpful. I've seen some of them, they want you to pay for them because they'll tell you we are going to pull up the file somewhere. these are many working hours. So we are going to charge you for that, for recalculating. No problem. You can put that fee on your valuation fee and advise your client that I'm going to buy data from the contractor, so I'm going to put a few dollars or a few reals into the contract so that you get the thing. And also you can rely, like these days we have got a lot of projects that are coming out. You can use them as well and come up with you can use cost to capacity method as well. Cost to capacity method as well. These are costs adjusted according to the capacities as well. And benchmarking is another way that I've seen being used in coming up with the replacement cost. You can come up with the benchmarking, like getting information from international renewable energy agencies as well. The US dollar per kilowatt or real, you can convert it to your currency and say real per kilowatt of solar power plant according to the location and region that you are dealing with as well. So, and trending method as well, where you can use machinery, equipment trending factors, or indexes on the historical costs installed. And here you'll be coming up with a reproduction cost. You are no longer coming up with a replacement cost, but you are coming up with a reproduction cost. So there are so many ways that you can do you can use replacement cost method, you can use reproduction cost method, you can use summation method basing on the direct method, which is summation method. This is direct method as well, that we are using the contractor to pull the file and do the recalculation based on the new costs that are prevalent at that time in the market. And the sources of information, you have got average cost of solar, like what you get from benchmarking. Yes, it's very, very critical as well. It helps you. And you can use the subscribed and free sources, such as the International Energy Agents. Then we have got the International Renewable Energy Agents as well. And we have got the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory as well. It provides information as well. And then we've got Marshall Valuation Services. These are subscription. You have to pay for you to get information. The other four, the other three at the top, these are free agents. They provide free information. But the other ones at the bottom, you have to pay for that because they process data, extrapolate it, and also sell it to stakeholders like you who want to use it for, and even project managers and engineering studies, they buy data as well. So these are some of the sources that you can do, because as you can see, uh, all information on prices of inverters, prices on modules, and all that make up the BOQ, bill of quantities. You can get all the information, the cost from that as well. And then we've got some of the sources as well, some of information, solar PV companies that provide the following services. There are a lot of such kind of companies. Most of these PV companies, they are involved in sales, they're involved in EPC contracting, they are also involved in development, they are also involved in construction installation, they are also involved in electrical work, and then we have got rooftop specific installations as well. So these solar PV companies, they offer a wide range of services in regards to the installation of the and the maintenance of the solar systems as well. So if you check in your locality, you find there are such kind of companies. And then we move on to depreciation. How do you identify? You need to know the actual age, effective age and normal useful life. The sources of normal useful life, there are a lot of books, there are a lot of literature, there are a lot of standards that you can find that provides such kind of information for you to come up with the physical deterioration as well. So some of the sources of information, it can be observation, documents, in interviews as well, and maintenance records, manuals, manufacturers. They help you to search for factors to understand which factors affect the the system, which have got an impact, right, on the on the running of the machine as well. So there's information, free databases and subscribed databases on the normal useful life of the components, the solar power plants. Yeah. And right, again, on the functional and economic obsolescence as well, you need to know the optimum capacity on the operating capacity, the design and the operating capacity of your subject power plant, solar power plant that you are valuing based on the energy requirements. You are now looking at external factors like what is the demand against the output. So you can do such kind of assessments and see what is the demand versus that, and that can help you to come up with economic obsolescence factors as well. The solar panel orientation as well, the degree of their exposure to sun, right? The degree of their exposure to sun as well. You find countries which are sunny, they've got a good solar panel orientation exposure to sun. Unlike some, they go for 8 to 9 months without solar, without sun, a lot of extensive, intensive sun, then it will be a problem if you are doing evaluation. These are some of the factors that can affect the value. And then you have got to do an analysis as well, cost to benefit ratio of the solar. How financially viable is the solar plant? It's very important. It's a good question to ask yourself, and so that you can answer. Those answers, they will determine, those are factors that determine the value of that. Issues of compliance with national regulations as well. Does the solar system include energy storage, energy storage as well? It's very, very important that you know that your system, does it have, what are the capacities of energy storage systems that are there? And then, boom, this is a simplified example for 300 megawatts capacity, right? I just did it. Just for illustration, but it's closer to home. And so as you can see, this one is for financial reporting. I was using straight line method here. So I had to look for terminal value, which was basically it's 10%. In most cases, it's 10%, the terminal valuation. So that is what is the terminal valuation. So the difference between that, you get to come up with a billion, and then look at the physical deterioration, like what we've discussed. The physical deterioration, you are looking at the condition, you are looking at the age, or age of a normal useful life as well. So about 122 million reals were taken out of that, and then you come up with a depreciated replacement cost, which is almost 800, it's almost 900 million. And then you add the terminal value, you come up with a billion. So as it's that time of valuation that I did, this was a mock valuation that I did. I just plugged out the price of the 300 megawatts and then look at my locality and then try to do that. You should also, I did not look at the functional and economic, but in your case, you need to search if there are any factors to do with functional obsolescence. If it is a current new, brand new facility which is less than 2, 3 years old, you find they are still with the same technology. But if it is more than 15 years, you find the technology has changed significantly. So you need to consider the functional obsolescence. You need also to consider the economic obsolescence. Is it still in compliant, like the 15-year-old ones? You need to check if they are still complying to the requirements, because most jurisdictions are coming up with new regulations to make sure that they control or regulate the operations of the solar power plants as well. So it's very, very important. Then another market approach. We have market approach as well. Market approach, you are looking at the value of the plant. You are looking at the value of the plant. We are looking at the value of the plant. This one, the use of market approach may not be possible, especially if you are dealing with the community utility solar power plants. You see, and because there is comparables are very few, or they are non-existent, that you can find. It's like selling the components of solar power plants on piecemeal transaction may seem impossible. Sorry, I was supposed to say it may seem impossible there. They seem very impossible. It's not possible to sell the components because it's very, very difficult to sell some of them, right? It can maybe inverters or some of these things that can be tested, but solar panels to sell them, it might be difficult. I haven't seen a used market for these kind of things. Maybe on eBay, right? There are various methods of comparison to be considered as well. Some of the elements is to look at the conditions, right? The terms of the power purchase agreement, like what we have discussed. You have to study all the aspects of that, the lease, the lease agreement, the terms or the term, the period of the PPA as well. You need to also to look at government credits or incentives, if there are any as well. They've got an impact as well, because each jurisdiction has its own different incentive, terms and conditions of land lease, and interconnections as well. So those are some of the comparables that can be used as well. And they will also look at the history of maintenance, technology levels as well. Those are some of the upgrades. Some of these 15-year-old solar farms, they've been upgraded as technology is moving. And then to catch up with the technological developments. So these are some of the things that you need to consider as well when you are doing such kind of valuation, especially when you are using market approach. And then coming on to income approach, when you are using income approach, it's very, very important that you know, like what I say, income approach, it involves your understanding. You need to get information from, you need to know the cash flows, right? What are the specific cash flows that can be identified with this kind of solar plants? These large solar power plants, you find they have got specific revenue and costs that are readily available and identifiable. So your clients can provide all this information about the revenue that they make, about the cost that they incur, and then you can do your DCF. This DCF method, this is the one that you can use as well. So you find there are some of the complementary assets as well, forming a process plan, which you need also to consider as well. And then obtaining specific revenue from contracted rates obtained from this the developer is selling to the power plant, power utility, right? So if they are selling it to a power utility, they have an agreed rate that they are selling the power. So you can make use of that and do your projections over the remaining period of the agreement, PPA agreement, and then come up with your cash flows, the inflows and the outflows as well, and then come up with the income, with the revenue, or else with the profit that they are coming up with, and then use the cap rates, the discount rates. So the most important thing that you need to know is how you are going to come up with the cap rates and the discount rates as well. So it's something that you need to work. And as a valuer, you need to get more documents, analyze them, verify them, so that you come up with something that is really credible at the end. Obtain and verify projected operating expenses from the client. The operating expenses may include operation and maintenance costs, insurance, land lease, and energy management systems services as well. So they need to make sure that the system is working. So there is need for that. So this is a simple example of a DCF method that you can use, is like what we said, revenue. It could be from PPA, right? It could be from PPA, the PPA rates that is used, and look at the operation costs. Come up with the you come up with the earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization as well. Remove the depreciation. This is the just a layout. So at the end of the day, you come up with you come up with your opinion of value for that power plant as well. So this is how you can go through it. Then we move on to documentation and reporting, documentation and reporting as well. So this is the last stage of the valuation process. Valuation reports and documentation are a critical and defining features of IVS, which collectively assist in creating. Remember, the most important thing is consistency. That's why we rely on IVS, International Valuation Standards. We want to establish consistency, professionalism, transparency, and comparability. If someone gets your report, he should be able to understand it. If your fellow valuer or intended user or any stakeholder, and they can go through it without any problem and understood it. The most important thing, your report must be understood. Your valuation must be understood. It must be understandable. Anyone should understand the valuation, how we have done the valuation. That is transparency, right? So we want to see transparency. We want to see the level of professionalism. And at the same time, what we are doing is we are creating trust, right? We are creating public trust in valuations, right? So that is very, very important. That is very, very critical. That is like what I said, this is the last stage of valuation. This is the last stage of valuation exercise, and it must be prepared in compliance with IVS 106 reporting standards. Every report has got a minimum requirements for minimum contents, items that must be found in a report. So make sure those items, we have got them. It's very, very important. So read IVS 106 to get more information. You should also take into account as well of requirements from different intended users. If we are dealing with banks, there are certain reporting requirements that they need. If you are dealing with insurers, there are certain reporting requirements that they require. So you must understand. Get in touch with the banker before you start evaluation. Talk to them about it. Explain what you want. Let them explain what they want in terms of the reporting. What are the values they are looking for? What kind of information they are looking for that will help them to determine the amount of loan that they can issue to the client. Just the same with the equipment financiers as well. They want to understand your valuation, and they also want certain requirements to be included there, so that especially like if you are dealing with financiers, they want to know how they are going to dispose that kind of thing. So you must be able to explain to them what are the how they are going to dispose it, what are they likely to have, what are the expenses like removal and all those things that they are going to do it. Is it sellable in term as in situ or as ex situ? All those things, they are very, 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 very important when you are dealing with auditors as well. And then the report must serve its purpose, its intended purpose, its intended use. It must serve. It must serve. And do you know that valuation reports are not for us? Sometimes I've seen people doing graphics and some nice things. Those are those should serve the purpose. Are they helping you to send the message, to communicate the processes, the operations that you've done? That's very important. That is very critical. So make sure whatever you do with the report, you are not doing it for yourself, but you are doing it for the client. You are doing it for him to have a full understanding of the evaluation process that he has gone through as well. So now we are going to do another poll. I think this is going to be one of the last polls before we move to the last segment. Before we move to this last segment, take your time to go through this poll. Take your time to go through this poll. Can you respond to this? I'm giving you time to respond. I'm giving you time to respond. I'm giving you time to respond. Let's respond. You can scan the QR. You can use the link. You can copy the link and put it there. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I can see there are some who don't hesitate. Please don't hesitate to respond to the poll. There's no good, there's no right or wrong answer. Just want to get your mind. Just want to see what you are thinking about this. What aspect defines a high quality valuation report for machinery and equipment? Right? What aspect defines a high quality valuation report for machinery and equipment? I just want to hear your opinion, to see your opinion, what you think. What you think is there is no one is going to mark you or to, I don't see any names. I'm just seeing some numbers. Now we have got 20. So we still have more people that should respond to this. If you haven't responded to 1, 2, 3, I think it's high time you do to this. This is the last one. This is the last one. So before we move to the next segment, the final segment, please respond. Okay. Right. So from the statistics of those who have submitted, I can see 45% are saying compliance with IVS 300 standard, adherence to international guidelines is very important. That is the most important. That is the most important aspect, right? That is the most important aspect, followed by the second one is clear methodology and rationale and explanation, right? And explanation of approaches and methods. That is another important items as well. So that is and it is followed by transparency of assumptions, clear explanation of the basis as well. So these are some of the things that are very, very important that we need to also understand. So thank you very much for responding. So we are moving on to the last segment. Right. Like what I've said to IVS 106, right now we are using IVS 2025. This is the version that we are relying on, starting from 31st, which it was effective 31st of January 2025. That is the standard we are using. Make sure you download it, go on International Valuation Council website, download it for free, for free. And we also, those who are in Saudi Arabia, if you go to Taqiim website, we've got a version in Arabic as well. So it's good for you to have two versions, the English version and the Arabic version. They are all on Taqiim website. You can access them for free, for free. Then, and here, what's eye-catching is the minimum requirements, minimum reporting requirements. You should know them. You should have them in your report. This is what is very important, what makes your report good. And the type of report, you have to mention the type of report. Is it summary or narrative report? Right? Narrative, this is the reports that we normally do, which are detailed. And we need to put details of the clients, details of the intended user as well. I've mentioned that date of valuation, reporting date, purpose of valuation, intended user, is details of them and details of the assets. If you are doing the power plant, you must put all the details of the power plant. And then we've got assumptions and special assumptions that has helped you. I've seen people, they've got an idea of putting generic assumptions and special assumptions. Some put that assumptions in their reports, and you see they are the same. They are the same. They have nothing much to do with the kind of valuation that we are doing. So learn to see how. I think in future we are going to do a webinar on assumptions and special assumptions. How do you relate them to your valuation that you'll be doing? That will be very important. And in your report, you need to put the statement of compliance to IVS, which IVS standards that you are dealing with. We have to say 2025. That is very, very important and critical as well. So we are moving on. The most important thing after you have done your valuation, ask yourself, is the valuation credible? Is the valuation adequate? Did I cover all the aspects? Did I cover all the requirements of the minimum requirements of the scope of work? Is it complete? Is it accurate? Check your calculations, check your analysis, check the data that you have used. Is it a reliable data? Did I verify the data? It's very important. You see, it's very, very important. And is it reliable? Right? Is it reliable? Is it relevant? Does it meet the purpose? Does it solve the valuation problem? Does it solve the valuation problem? That is very important to ask yourself. And finally, work file. A work file is very important. A work file is very important. You are keeping record of everything that you have used. In the case of a litigation or an accusation or whatever, a complaint, you can pull out evidence, you can pull out information. So it covers all the correspondence, it covers all the inputs that you have researched, all the, don't just put people papers together, but it should be electronic or physical as well, or both, so that it is properly kept. Like if we are talking in terms of taqeem regulations, taqeem code of conduct and ethics of valuation profession, valuation work files must be kept for 10 years. They must be kept for 10 years from the date of issuance of the final report to the client. When you have issued out the final report, you should keep the work file. The accredited valuers shall develop an integrated, right, a very comprehensive work file for each evaluation they have done, right, for each evaluation assignment they have done. That will be including the written reports, the correspondence, the memos, the documents that you got, the documents that you got from different sources, information from different sources, data, even purchased data, you have to put that, inspections, sources, and used methods, and analysis that you have done, all your calculations, they must be there. Especially if it is an electronic, you have to just put the Excel into the file and all the statement of action taken to support your valuation, to validate your conclusion. So that is very, very important. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think now we can move on to questions. We can now move on to questions. I think this is the time we can now chat here on questions. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to read some of the questions that are here. Oh, some people were responding to they were responding to the polls using the Q&A. Right, I've got someone who is saying, this is Andre, he's saying, who regulates solar power installation in KSA in Saudi Arabia? What certification is required from the regulator to confirm the installation is approved? Yes, we have got the regulator of solar installation in Saudi Arabia is called the Water and Electric Regulatory Authority, WERA. In the past, it used to be SERA, that is in Saudi Electricity Regulatory Authority, but it has been changed so that it has the responsibility of regulating the electricity sector, including the solar. So their role is to ensure that all this sector, it meets customer satisfaction, right? So it's well organized, reliable, and high efficient. That is what they want. They want to make sure that these are, so they approve, right? They approve, they do the inspections, and then they give you the certification. And they also provide certain contractors, solar PV companies, installation companies, which you can use. They certify them as well, those contractors who are allowed to do installation of solar systems as well. So I hope I've answered this one well. And then we have got some who saying, what is the difference between PV and solar collectors? PVA, these are photovoltaic. This is the type of material which is, or the type of system which is used to make solar cells. Solar cells. Those solar cells, these are the ones which get into contact with the sun energy, so the solar energy, and then convert that into electricity. So those solar cells. I don't know what you will say, solar collectors. I'm not sure of that term, but what I know is this photovoltaic. This is the type of cells that are used, the material that is used to make solar cells. So this is what we have. And manufacturers, we have got another one who is saying manufacturers. Okay, he was responding to the question, to the poll. Okay, yeah, I can see lots of polls. Okay, someone is saying, is it IVS 24 or IVS 25 to be written in report? It's IVS 25. IVS 25. It was published in 2024, but it became effective. If it became effective in 2025, 31st of January 2025. So we say IVS 25. That is what we say, IVS 25. I have a question related to evaluation generally. Is it recommended to round up the evaluation price? I haven't found any specific information regarding this in any of the curriculum. Yes, it's good to round off your figures, especially particularly the last figure. You have to round it off. It's very advisable. Sometimes you end up saying the last coins, the last halala. If you are using reals, if you are using dollars, you are saying in 50 cents, in 50 halala. No, the best is to round it off, and yeah, it becomes neat and very appealing and professional. So rather than to the last dollar or to the last real, the last halala, so you need to consider that when you are doing, it's good to round off your final, not the prices when you are still doing calculations. The last figure, it's good to round it off. That will be very, very helpful as well. That will be very, very helpful as well. Someone is saying, send us the PowerPoint presentation. Yes, you can have it, but if you need a copy, just send to pr@takim.gov.sa. Then you can ask for a copy. We can provide you upon request. This is a free webinar. So if it was chargeable, we'll provide material, but we can provide them upon request. If there is a functional obsolescence, how you calculate it? There are so many ways to calculate functional obsolescence. So there are so many ways. And it depends with the obsolescence. Is it curable or is it incurable? Obsolescence. And it depends with the factor that you are dealing with. So I can't explain it in full, but all you need to do is you just know that they are saying it's various ways of calculating that depending on the functional obsolescence as well. So that's the same question from Abdulaziz as well. If there is a functional obsolescence, how you calculate it? Do you use the discount rate to get PV? Then yes, you use discount rates especially when you are using income DCF. Yes, discount rates. You have to work it out properly. Myself, I would rather work with a business valuer because they normally use income DCF. They can help you to come up with good and reliable discount rates as well, right? So this is how do you get it? Yes, like what I'm saying, there are so many ways of coming out as well. There's this work type, and every jurisdiction have the different components that make up the discount rate. So that is the something that you need to work out as a valuer. And today we are not going to do it in specifics, but when we happen to do a webinar on how to use income approach. We had an income approach that we did, was it last year, on power plant as well. It was income approach on power plant. If you can go on our YouTube, you can see the presentation. It will show you how the discount rate was determined. Yes, what is terminal valuation? Terminal value. Terminal value is just the same thing within with residual value, right? That is the value at the end of what is the value at the end of its useful life. So it is terminal value is the same like residual value as well. If you are using accounts, they will sometimes say salvage value. It's one and the same thing. See, it depends with where you are coming from, which jurisdiction we are dealing. If we are dealing with a certain jurisdiction, especially in Europe, they talk of terminal value. If we are talking to other jurisdictions, you find they will be talking about residual value. If you are dealing with those who are accounting background, they will be talking about salvage value. It's one and the same thing, right? That we'll be talking about as well. So because of our time, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Ahmed, for being our translator today. Thank you, everyone. Let's continue connecting. Masalama.